Awesome.
So a number of students have been asking me about whether to go with like a Shopify or BigCommerce or even WooCommerce. And the underlying reason for this question is because if you want to have a blog with Shopify, for example, you typically have to put it on a subdomain, or you have to just
Sure.
make it an entirely different blog altogether. And so what I found out recently is a student came across, I didn't even know this, they came across BigCommerce's new WordPress integration. And they were telling me about it. I was like, wow, that sounds really great. And so I reached out to my BigCommerce rep and I was like, hey, I want a demo of this because this sounds really cool. And so Topher here showed me a demo and it looks really good. And so I asked him to actually come on and show us how to design an online store on WordPress with BigCommerce WordPress integration from scratch, just to let you know that this particular solution has, from what I can tell at least, and I don't know a whole lot about this product and I haven't tried it yet, Topher, but the best of both worlds. You can have a blog on the same exact domain as your online store. And so I'm going to turn it over to you. Topher was nice enough to give us a complete demo. So welcome.
All right. Thanks. Yeah. The scenario you mentioned with Shopify is the same BigCommerce and every single e-commerce platform in the world. None of them have good blogging. So that is one of many reasons that we chose WordPress. Our end goal is actually headless API, where you can use our APIs, or headless e-commerce, where you can use our APIs to build a store in any language. We chose WordPress for a variety of reasons. It's a large target. It's very popular, easy to use. And many people were coming to us saying, hey, we want WordPress inside BigCommerce. And that wasn't going to happen. So we went the other way. So today I'm going to show you how to set up a store from scratch. And this is a live demo, and hopefully nothing terrible happens. So I have here a vanilla WordPress install. This is the 2011 theme. The only things I really did to it are to set the home page to be a home page and not a blog, which should, there we go. So now it's our home page. And one more thing I forgot that I need to do.
While Topher is setting everything up, I just want to let you guys know, like if you already have a WordPress blog, you can just integrate BigCommerce into it. That's what he's going to show the class today.
Right.
I'm putting words in your mouth, Topher. Just correct me if I'm wrong.
That's all right. One of the great things about it is perfectly safe for both your WordPress site and your BigCommerce store. You can't hurt your WordPress site by trying this, and you can't break a BigCommerce store by testing with WordPress. So it's very safe to test. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to plugins and add the plugin. We just search for BigCommerce, and it's right there. So here we are. The first thing that happens is you can either connect an existing account or create a new account. I'm going to create a new one real quick. And so this is creating a store in BigCommerce. You get a 15-day free trial. So hang on just a second while I fill this out. And go. There's a little start over here thing at any time you decide you want to, or like if you entered something wrong halfway through or whatever.
Yeah, if you guys have any technical questions, Topher is here.
Yeah, printer that's set up or anything. Okay, so now it's creating an account over on BigCommerce. And again, if you already had one, then you could simply log into it inside WordPress here, and it would connect. All right, so something BigCommerce has is called channels. And traditionally, our channels have been things like Amazon and eBay, so you can sell your products in multiple places. But now WordPress is also a channel, and that means you can create as many channels as you want. So if you want to have 5 WordPress stores, you can do that. Each one is a new channel. So I'm just going to create this new channel here, and name doesn't really matter, but we recommend you leave it at your domain name because it's just logical. And then you have the option of either listing all your BigCommerce products right away, or you can say don't list any, and you will later pick and choose. If you already have a store with 1,000 products, I recommend waiting. But if you don't, or if you only have a few products, then go ahead and pull them all in.
Topher, do you mind if I give a high level real quick?
Sure, go for it.
What I like about this system, and once again, I just want to preface that I haven't used this is relatively new, is that you can have all your products and have your own BigCommerce store, but you can actually import whatever items you want directly into WordPress. So what that BigCommerce plugin does in WordPress is it puts together a mini shopping cart, so to speak. And with the pushes of a couple of buttons, you can actually import products from your BigCommerce store over to your WordPress store. Everything's still hosted on BigCommerce, but it's as if you have your online store on your WordPress store. So you can have both your BigCommerce store and your WordPress store, or one or the other. And so it gives you a lot of flexibility. You can spread out your products across different WordPress sites if you want, but everything is centrally controlled by BigCommerce.
That's exactly right. We had a potential merchant come to us saying he wanted to set up 200 stores at the same time in WordPress, which is a little mind-blowing, but everybody has their needs. You can choose a full-featured store or simple blogging. Blogging doesn't create as many of the pages. I recommend full-featured store. And then you almost always want to create a new menu in WordPress because it will hold things like your cart, your products link, and things like that. So we're going to call ours e-commerce menu. And this makes a standard WordPress menu. If you're already familiar with WordPress, this is just a normal menu. You'll find it under appearance here in a few minutes.
Just curious, Topher, if you already have an existing menu, is this a new menu or does this clash with your existing one?
This will make a new one.
Okay.
So now we're done with the install, actually, and a variety of things are happening. It's already importing products, if you had some. Because this is a brand new store, it comes with 15 slug products for testing. So at this point, you could log into BigCommerce.com and do things like set up shipping and set up your credit card processor and whatnot. But for the moment, I'm going to go over here and click on products. And you can see there's a process meter at the top here. We're importing products.
By default, does it just import all the products from BigCommerce into your WordPress?
There was a choice here just a couple minutes ago. You could choose either to do them all or to do none and choose later cherry pick.
Okay. So just to be clear, like the steps are you first sign up for BigCommerce and you add your products there, and then you install this plugin that imports the products over. Is that correct?
Yes. You don't have to create your products first. You could do this and then log into BigCommerce and create your products if you want.
Okay.
The order is not necessarily important.
Okay.
So you see this error message here. That's because I'm using a very cheap host. So for the moment, let's look at the settings under BigCommerce. The products, again, if you're familiar with WordPress, they come over as a custom post type. So we're syncing the products from BigCommerce into WordPress, and you can choose anywhere from 5 minutes to a month. And then you could choose whether or not to have new products auto-listed or not. And then here's the import batch size. I could reduce this if I needed the import to work better on my cheap host. So I will actually do that.
So just to be clear, this thing that switch that you're talking about right now is how often you want to import products from BigCommerce to your WordPress store. Is that right?
Right. Yep.
And if you don't change things very often, you can make this a long time, right?
Right.
Okay.
And it's not just importing new products, but actually syncing changes. So if you change the price on an existing product, then that won't reflect on WordPress until this sync happens.
Okay.
And there's another option in addition to this one for syncing, and I'll show you in a minute. You have the option to turn off the cart page. So if you have like one product, turn off the cart. If you want to go right to checkout, you can. We do gift certificates on the WordPress side. Currency settings, these are pretty minimal here. There are more currency settings on the BigCommerce side. Accounts and registration, so your customers can log into your site and manage order histories and things like that. Analytics settings. This is where you would put your Facebook Pixel ID and your Google Analytics tracking ID. And what these do, these two fields right here, is they communicate with other pieces of software that manage this stuff. For example, you still need to set up analytics and Facebook in BigCommerce. And if you're using a WordPress plugin, like any Google Analytics plugin, then these two fields communicate with all of those locations And the checkout page is actually an embedded iframe, which means that it's two different domains, and cross-domain analytics tracking is painfully difficult. And so we've worked that all out by having these fields here.
Okay. So just to be clear, even if you have an analytics plugin or a Facebook pixel button, you still need to fill in these fields because this only covers
Right.
the store part of it.
Right.
Okay.
And these two will help all the different tracking softwares communicate with each other.
Okay.
We have product reviews that you don't manage here. You manage in BigCommerce. And the rest of the stuff you probably should never touch. Here are your API credentials. You could get those from BigCommerce and replace them here if you needed to. Theoretically, you should never have to do that. This tells you what channel you're on, and that can help you on the BigCommerce side if you're sorting products across multiple stores. And additionally, if you need this, we have a beta program where you can actually run more than one channel inside one WordPress site. And you would do that for things like multilingual and multi-currency.
Okay.
And then there's a diagnostics thing. So if it's going sideways, you can turn on error logs and send those to support. Let's go back and look at products. Oh, it says 13 products successfully synced. So here they are. And I mentioned there's another sync option here. There's a one right here. So let's say you had 1,000 products and one of them was wrong. You wouldn't want to resync 1,000 products just to fix that one. So you could come in here and just click resync and it would take care of it.
So that other menu that you kind of showed us, it seems like a lot of that functionality with the store, there's similar settings in BigCommerce, right? On the BigCommerce website. Yep. So if you set it in one, is it necessary to set it up in your WordPress site as well?
As far as settings go, yes, because they're usually complementary.
Okay.
So you would set a setting here that's looking for a piece of information from the BigCommerce admin or vice versa.
I was thinking like gift certificate, that sort of thing. Is that?
Yep. So yeah, these gift certificate settings are specific to WordPress. Now let me show you this. When you install, it creates a whole bunch of WordPress pages like this.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of them is right here, purchase gift certificates.
Okay.
Now, if this page got deleted or you wanted to change it or something like that, then you would come into your BigCommerce settings here and go to gift certificates and say, hey, I moved it, choose this other page.
Okay.
And
sense? Then you kind of glanced over a concept as you were talking about the iframes, and I just want to make this clear, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Topher, is that the checkout, when someone checks out on your WordPress site, the actual checkout process is actually hosted and controlled by BigCommerce, so it will not bog down your site. Correct. Is that correct? Okay.
Yep. And more than that, it also puts PCI compliance on BigCommerce, which removes an enormous headache from anybody dealing with e-commerce.
Right.
So I told you that when we created our menu, it would just be under normal WordPress menus, and there it is. So I'm going to actually make this the primary menu on this website. And then when we load the home page, it's right here. So okay. I can go to all products. And there they are. We can do a quick view, which pops up this little modal. And then we can also click on the title and go to a page for it. And we have images like this. There's our description, specifications, reviews, related products. All of this stuff just magically shows up in the templates. And as far as design goes, as you can see, it's not ugly, but it's not specifically designed for this specific theme. But it's well marked up in the HTML, so anybody with CSS knowledge can make it look like anything.
So that involves changing CSS files that are in the plugin directory, or how do you change the look and feel?
I would recommend associating them somehow with your theme. I did a blog post about it, BigCommerce, so you can read all about it.
Okay.
But I would associate them somehow with your theme. So that could be a theme file or in the customizer or something like that. Because if you change themes, you're probably going to want your designs, your styles to change as well.
Okay. So these are just like CSS classes that are probably in that blog post of yours that you changed to.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. If I inspect element on this thing, you'll see that it's called BC product title,
Got it. Okay.
and you can change it however you like.
Okay.
So if I add to cart, it thinks for a minute and it says successfully added to cart, and puts a number up here by the cart. It also did an API call back to BigCommerce to say, hey, somebody just put this in the cart. Make sure inventory knows so that we don't sell it out from under them. And we'll click on cart, and here it is. You can do all the normal cart things you would do in any e-commerce, and proceed to checkout. And we'll see if it didn't work. It's a brand new store. So I would need to go into my BigCommerce store and publish, as it were.
Can you do that right now?
Probably.
Or if you already have a live shop, you can show us.
Yeah, let me try that.
Okay.
This is forewarning. This is my test server. This might get really ugly.
That's okay. As you're doing that, let me ask you a couple questions. So for abandoned cart, so let's say someone started the checkout process, would all that stuff still get registered? For example, if the students were on Klaviyo, would it be the Klaviyo BigCommerce integration, or how would it work?
Yeah, it would be. The abandoned cart works wonderfully in WordPress if the user logs in, which I think is kind of true for all abandoned cart software.
Correct.
If you don't have their email address, then you can't help them.
Right.
But in the past with my stores, I've not set it up and had it just magically work in my development stores, and I was surprised by how smooth it was.
So I'm referring specifically to Klaviyo, though, not the BigCommerce abandoned cart integration.
Right. So because that's a back end thing,
Uh-huh.
it would just work. It's not related to WordPress at all.
Okay. Well, what I was getting at is usually there's pages instrumented on the site, and the information has to be transmitted over to Klaviyo, what a customer was looking at or what was in the cart. And so from what I understand, this is a question, is when someone checks out on the WordPress site and adds something to the cart, that information, is it sent to BigCommerce as well as Klaviyo when you integrate Klaviyo? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So the API call when someone adds a cart takes care of all that stuff.
Right.
Okay.
And I'd like to point out most back-end things like that, third-party integrations, just magically work because of the way we do checkout.
Okay.
So this is actually a live store, so I can show you the checkout here.
All right.
Add to cart. Added to cart. Proceed to checkout. So this is what the embedded iframe looks like. And oh no, this isn't. This is something different.
I remember you showed me this test store before. They chose to host everything on BigCommerce, right?
Yep, they chose to host everything on BigCommerce, and there is a business reason for that I can never remember.
So from what I remember you telling me, Topher, the user has a choice. They can actually handle checkout on their own site through an iframe, or they can actually direct everyone to the BigCommerce site and take care of it there.
Right.
I don't know what the pros and cons are for that, but I would imagine it'd be better to keep them on your own site, right?
Yeah, I think so. But this is the actual thing that gets put into the embedded iframe.
Okay.
So it'll look just like this. So you can sign in now, they're put in their email address and continue as guest, all that stuff.
All right. So I'm assuming the checkout and everything works fine. How does order management work?
That is completely on the BigCommerce side. None of that is in WordPress at all. Can
you access like the orders that come in from WordPress, or do you have to actually log into your BigCommerce store at that point?
You have to log into BigCommerce.
Okay.
That's partly for performance, because none of that is needed to render your website per se.
Okay.
But part of it is security. If your site gets hacked, there's nothing in here to steal.
Okay.
There's no customer data, nothing like that.
I see an order history tab that people can check up on their orders.
Yeah.
I assume that links to BigCommerce. Is that through the API and pulling that information in then?
Yeah, that pulls it right in here.
Okay.
And it pulls it in live, so we don't host that either in your WordPress site.
I see. Okay.
It hits the API and renders it right live.
Basically, nothing is stored on the site whatsoever.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
That was a deliberate choice for both speed and security. The main reason WooCommerce slows down is that the orders table gets filled up and the users table gets filled up, and it just gets, the more successful you are, the slower it gets. And we never have that problem. So we're really hammering on the scalability option.
Right. A couple of questions, and I'm just going to kind of do a summary of like what I think are the pros and cons, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. What I like about this solution personally is that you have your blog and you have your store, and the store is hosted somewhere else, so it's going to be a lot faster. Whereas with WooCommerce, all the store stuff and everything is all integrated in, and it pretty much bogs down your site, right?
Exactly.
The disadvantage that I see, and you can address this, is that every time like someone goes in the checkout, whatnot, there's going to be API calls to BigCommerce. And in the event that there's a whole bunch of customers doing API calls, it could cause delays in the site potentially, right? Like there's a lot of dependence on BigCommerce at this point.
Yes, there is a theoretical limit. In all the years we've been running the API, no one has ever hit that limit. We can theoretically do 400 calls per second, and typically a call is about 2/100ths of a second. And you can get an entire product with all of its metadata, everything, in one call. So it is ridiculously fast. In fact, so fast that we've considered not even storing this data in WordPress, but actually running everything truly real time out of BigCommerce.
Interesting. The only reason why I asked this question is because when you're running like a WordPress store, for example, everything's usually cached. I mean, not the cart, but like the products and everything are cached. And I imagine when you're on the BigCommerce page, everything's cached too, right?
Yep.
So if you were to load everything individually, that would make it slower, right? Like you just suggested, so to speak.
Yes. But at that point, we would then be leveraging WordPress's caching system. So there would still be caching going on. It's just that it would not be stored as a custom post type. It would be stored in RAM, actually, which would make it even faster.
Okay. What are some other disadvantages that I can think of? I guess that's the case anyways. I mean, you're relying on a fully hosted platform anyways, regardless of whether you're on BigCommerce or whatnot, right? I mean, whether it's an API call or so. I mean, as long as this works as advertised, I see it as a really good solution for those who want a WordPress blog with an online store that's fast and easily maintainable, right? You guys are maintaining everything related to the store, essentially.
Right.
Can we talk about cost? When I sign up for like the cheapest BigCommerce plan, for example, do I get access to this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And what's even cooler is there are a few things that are not available in the traditional plan that you can get with WordPress. For example, faceted search. It requires you buy an add-on for WordPress, but it's much cheaper than the one in BigCommerce, actually. We go over to resources, go to plugins. You can see there's Facet WP does the faceted search. Bolt checkout is fraud prevention stuff, and it's really slick. I like it a lot. And then Search WP enhances WordPress's search because WordPress's search sucks everywhere, always.
A couple of the questions I had asked. So with cache, like let's say you had a caching plugin installed on your WordPress site, would that cache the product pages?
Yes, it would. Actually, most of them right now cache too much, and you need to go in and whitelist the cart and the checkout page.
Right.
But we are working with WP Rocket, which in my opinion is the best one. And in about a week, they're going to release a new version that has full BigCommerce support. So you won't have to worry about whitelisting anything. It'll just magically do its thing.
Okay. And then in terms of plugin incompatibilities, I at least off the top of my head, I can't think of anything that would clash with this since you guys aren't really doing anything with it. But are there any known, besides the caching perhaps?
Yeah, none that I know of. None of the WooCommerce plugins will work.
Right.
But that brings me to an excellent point. When it comes to themes, our plugin works with pretty much any theme except an e-commerce theme. Because most e-commerce themes for WordPress are custom built for WooCommerce, and they hard code in WooCommerce functions. So When you go looking for WordPress e-commerce theme, you're probably going to get a WooCommerce theme.
I
That said,
see.
we're working with some theme shops right now to help clear that up. There's a very common WooCommerce theme called Shoptimizer,
Yes.
and they are about to release the BigCommerce version of Shoptimizer. And so you can get all that goodness without having to worry about clashing with WooCommerce.
Okay. So if you're using this plugin, it's probably in your best interest to, if you have just like a regular plugin, which if you already have a blog, chances are you don't have an e-commerce blog, right? Blogging
Right.
theme already.
Yeah.
Let me see if there's any other questions. How does Google Shopping feed work? Is it the same? Like once you have it set up for your BigCommerce, it's all good, or?
Yeah. It doesn't have anything to do with WordPress, really.
The reason why I asked that question is because when I have my Google retargeting ads set up, when someone looks at a product page, I have it instrumented so it tells Google that someone looked at that page.
Right.
Does BigCommerce currently insert the code on the product pages right now? Like
I believe it does.
Okay.
That is an area of e-commerce where I am not that good.
Okay. Well, even with like Facebook, for example, when someone's looking at a product page, we're telling Facebook that someone looked at that page. So when you put the pixel in that settings, is that taking care of the product level pixel information also?
I believe that is the case, yes.
Okay. All right. Cool.
I have a couple more things to show you if you're
Yeah, go for it. Yeah, go for it.
All right. The WordPress customizer is just generally awesome, but we've leveraged it. So now down here, there's a BigCommerce section. And in here, you can change all the texts on all the buttons. You can mess with the colors of buttons and text and all of that. You can show how many related products there are on a single page. And also, if your product does not have an image at all, you can choose here what to show. On the catalog, right now the catalog slug is products. So that's, if you go to your web address, it's /products, that's your store. Here you could change that to shop or store or whatever. And you could put in a catalog page description. And the cool thing about the customizer is things happen immediately, but they are not permanent yet until you hit publish. So you can mess around with design and all of that. And if you don't like it, hit this X and it all goes away. Here you can choose what sorting items are available in these drop downs. You can choose the grid columns. So I have 4. I could set that to 3. Products per page right now is 24. And then this one is a very popular one. You can disable quick view. So now when you click the image, it goes directly to the single page rather than pop up that modal. And then the embedded checkout, because it's on our servers, there isn't much you can do to it, but you can change some of the colors. And then one more thing I want to show you. Go over here. Pages. Well, you know what? I'm going to do a post. Let's do a blog post about this dustpan and brush. So this is where the content marketing part of WordPress really shines. So we're using the Gutenberg editor. We click the little BigCommerce icon here, and it by default gives us all basically the product page. But then we can click this edit products, and now we can choose with great detail what we want to show here. We could say I want only recent. I want only, or also recent on sale, and only OFS. And hit search, and it gives me that. What I want is, okay, OFS is the dustpan. So OFS, there's the dustpan. So I'm going to click add product. And now this list is what's going to show up in my post. And I could do ascending or descending, order by title or date, and products per page. But I'm going to just do this one. And there we are. So I want right before this paragraph. Oh, I put it below. The point is, right here in midstream in a blog post, you can link to a product. Additionally, there are what we call in WordPress short codes, which could show a fragment of a single thing. So you could say, only show me the title, and then you can link it to the product or whatever.
I see.
So theoretically, content marketing, you're doing a blog post about this amazing pan and brush, and there's a link right there to buy it.
Nice.
So I click publish, view post, add to cart, and it's just like it's part of the store.
Nice. I like that feature.
Yeah, you can also add this to widgets in the sidebar. So if you wanted to have a couple of products follow the customer around through the site or something in a sidebar, you could do that. And I think that's about all I have for the demo.